A very good morning to you and welcome to the deck of the Swamp Duck. It's Wednesday the 25th of May 2022 and I've come over to the Swamp Duck today to do a couple of jobs, one of which is mentioned in my vlog which comes out this Saturday. It's vlog 175 which I made on the Ashby Canal, and it concerns installing anchor chain and an anchor light. And in that video you'll see that the River Canal Rescue finally deliver the fully serviced engine with its new steering mechanism, but they have to make one or two adjustments to the engine compartment and they have to do that there, and so there's some work to tidy it up. I've done some of it already, but there's some fiberglassing that I need to do to make that job complete. So that's one of my jobs today. Also, the fire brigade are here. They're doing a tour of the marina and looking at people's boats and giving advice. So I need to make sure that I've got both of my carbon monoxide detectors and the smoke detector fully working before they arrive. But before all that, time for a cup of tea. Here you can see the steering mechanism that was put in. So it's connected to the back of the engine here. There's a rod there, and then there's a rod here that goes through the tilt mechanism of the engine, and it fixes through here on this side of the boat. There's a real big brass nut there that also connects to the steering mechanism and to the tilt mechanism. And I have to say, having used it now a few times, it is very, very smooth. It's a lot smoother than just relying on the cable mechanism that I had before. But it does mean that in order to get enough of a steering lock on the engine, the River Canal Rescue had to make a hole in the side of the engine compartment just here. Now I have put on a rubber grommet, and I've put a rubber grommet the other side. Now where that cable comes through on this side, the hole isn't very big and it's got the rubber grommet on it. But on this side, in order to get that arm through, it's quite a large hole, and I'm a little bit concerned about that because it is fairly low down in the engine compartment. So what I want to do is to be able to make a seal so that if water does get through there, that it can't get into the boat. Well, let me show you how I intend to do that. But before I can do that, I've got some little friends here that have just turned up looking for food. That one looks like it's got a little bit of something stuck in its beak. Don't know whether that's fishing line or... have a little look. Got something. No, I think it's just a bit of hair or something. Now if I operate the mechanism, you'll see where the steering rod goes. So it goes into the boat about 75 centimetres, so it goes in quite a way. I don't think I've got any Coots food, but I've got some Weetabix. So what I've found is I've looked for a plastic box and I've found this old plastic sort of Tupperware type thing, which is quite deep. I've got the whole family coming now. I'm going to get nothing done today. She's actually got three babies, but I'm sure there were more than that at the beginning. I'm sure there were about 6, but I think 3 have survived. So where was I? Right, yes, so I've got this plastic box which is deep enough, so that's going to go on the other side of the grommet here inside the boat. Now in order to make that stay, I'm going to put some fiberglass, make a fiberglass edge around here, and then I'm going to fiberglass it to the boat so that I can make a proper waterproof seal. So what will happen, the rod will feed into here. So that will in effect encase the rod, so water's not going to actually get inside the boat. So that's my plan. Fiberglassing is a bit of a smelly, sticky job. So we'll see how we get on. Now it's not very easy to show this, but you can just see that steering rod coming through and you can see the daylight. So that's where I'm going to attach this plastic tub. So I don't have an awful lot of room to be able to do it, so it's going to be quite fiddly. But I've just placed the tub where you can see it and you can see the rod. So that's where it's going to be fiberglassed in place. If there's one thing I would recommend to anybody who owns a GRP boat is to get used to doing fiberglassing. It is messy, but it's not a difficult job really. Just have to be quite precise with it so you don't get in a mess. And I always buy these little repair kits. I get them from Halfords and they're around about £10. And I've had several of those. I think it's always useful to keep on the boat. You never know when you need to do a quick repair. So what I thought I would do is to do a sort of paper mache kind of method with fiberglass, and that's to make a rim of fiberglass around the bottom of this tub so that it gives me something that I can latch onto the boat. So in effect that's going to make a lip. So I'm going to fiberglass it to the edge of the tub. Hopefully it will stay in shape like that and go all the way around, and then I can apply some more of the adhesive and it can stick to the side of the boat. You do need plenty of ventilation, which is why I'm doing it at the back of the boat with the flap up, so I've got a good flow of air. And you need your rubber gloves because you can get in a bit of a sticky mess otherwise. So I'm going to just put the camera onto this little table and leave it running because I don't want to touch the camera once I've got underway. I've already cut out some of these strips that are going to go around the edge, probably put them that way. I just need to make the resin mixture. So there's my resin. There's 250 mils in there. So the secret of this is to do a little bit at a time. So I'm only going to put about 10 mils of that into the bottom of a paper cup. I always use these are leftovers from my cafe before I gave it up. So I've kept those, they're very good for fiberglass in. So I'm going to guess, but I'm going to put about 10 mils of this into the bottom of the cup. It doesn't last very long, so you don't want to mix too much up at a time. And then you take the hardener, and you only need a pea size for each 10 mil. So you just squeeze out a pea size of hardener. Then using a wooden lolly stick, you need to give that a really good mix. Now once that's stirred, the resin is now active and you can only use it for about 5 minutes, so you do need to get on with it. So I'm going to use a cheap brush, which afterwards will be of no use and I'll end up throwing it away. So I'm going to put some of the hardener on the side here, like so. And then I'm going to put some of the fiberglass strip just here and leave it some spare so I can fold that over and attach that to the boat. So that goes on there. Then the next thing to do is to put some of the hardener on top of that. So now I can continue to work all the way around the edge of this. You'll know when the hardener is really past its best because it gets a bit jelly like. The next task is to let that dry a little bit, and then I can put another layer on. One layer on it on its own is not enough, you need a couple of layers at least. So that essentially is it. I've been twice round with fiberglass and there's plenty of the resin on there. So I'm not going to do anything with that now for at least 20 minutes to half an hour. Give it a really good time to dry out in the air here. And then I can make a couple of cuts on the corners so that those can be those sides can then be bent over, and then put some more resin on, and that can be stuck to the side of the boat. So in the meantime I can have a look at the next little job, which is just here, and that's the seat, the drive-in seat here. It's really showing signs of wear now. Now fortunately, when I bought the canopy, the chap that sold me it gave me all of the offcuts of the vinyl, so I've got plenty of this at home to be able to use to replace the cover on this seat. So I'm going to remove this part, which is just a piece of plywood and a bit of old sponge. Take that off, use that as a template so that I can make a new seat, and probably do the back, although the back isn't as bad as this one. So my next job is to remove the seat. There are at least 8 screws holding this piece of wood down. I've undone 4, so I think that enables me to lift off the backrest. There we go. So it does need a little bit of attention around the back here, so if I have got enough material I may replace that, but it's not as easy to do. It certainly needs a good clean. So now all I've got to do now is remove 4 bolts that are underneath this lip, and then this should lift off. If I turn this around, this is what the end of May looks like in the UK. It's absolutely thrown it down with rain, so I've had to put the flap down. And there's my pot still drying, so I just need to take this off. And this is the headrest part, which I'll also take home. Just a couple of screws there and 2 down the bottom. I can remove that. This has been drying now for at least half an hour, and you can just tell that it's now gone quite hard. So I'm going to tidy it up round here, so then I can make a cut in each corner and just bend those over, and then those are going to be stuck with some more of the resin to the side of the boat. That's going to be the fiddly part. I need to come up with something to hold it in place whilst it's drying. Some tape or something like that. I've managed to get the box installed behind that hole, and it's very secure. And I'm just tidying up the surround of the hole with some more fiberglass to make sure that no water can get through the joint there. So I just need to go right the way around that, and then I'm going to put the grommet back, and that should make that a whole lot more secure. So that's very solid now, it's all dried off. I did manage to cover the box so it looks a little bit less like a plastic box, and the silver foil there was just to keep it in place. That can be removed. It looks like my friends are back for some more Weetabix. Oh, another one. It was my intention to swab the decks before I left the boat today, but the weather it dictates otherwise. It just keeps on raining, so maybe leave that for tomorrow or another day. But I need to take my upholstery work home and set to in the sewing room and see if I can make something of them. This is surely one laborious job, as I have to pick out all of these staples. I could be some time doing this. Okay, so now it's a matter of undoing all this stitching around the edge so I can separate the top part from the edging, and then I've got two templates. So now I've got the top part separated and I've got the edging separated, so that gives me a good way of cutting out some new material. So that's the seat done. The hardest bit was doing the corners really, but I've done various stitches. I did a running stitch to begin with just to keep it in place, and then I did a zigzag stitch a couple of times round just to make sure it was secure, and I've restapled it onto the back. It's not brilliant, but when I get around to it I'm going to have all of the upholstery on the Swamp Duck completely redone. It's just a matter of finding somebody that will do it at a reasonable price. It looks better than when all the stuffing was hanging out. It's a beautiful morning this morning here at the marina. I'm hoping it's going to be like this tomorrow so that I can take the Swamp Duck out for the weekend. I haven't seen my friends at all this morning. I don't think they're up yet. Okay, so that's one skipper's chair firmly fixed back in place. It looks a lot cleaner, and it's got rid of that nasty bit of seat in there that was all falling apart and the stuffing coming out. They say that the proof of the pudding is in the sitting. That's absolutely fine. One of the things of having had this swamp duck for some time is that I've had to learn one or two new skills. So I've got my fiberglassing skills and my upholstery skills to add to the list of things that I've had to learn to do in order to restore this boat. So that's another little restoration job completed on the swamp duck. And it's only 5 to 8 in the morning, so it's time for a well-earned cup of tea. I really am enjoying my time at the marina at the moment. It's certainly very convenient. It's only a few minutes away from home, and I'm able to get a lot of jobs done that I couldn't do when it was on the Ashby Canal. As part of being at this marina, it does allow me to have about a month's worth of free stays at Trinity Marina on the Ashby Canal. So I do want to be able to go back to the Ashby Canal at some stage this year and next year, so that I can at least visit all those wonderful people that I've left behind on the mooring. I think the major reason for moving from the Ashby Canal to here was unfortunately the price of petrol at the moment, which is absolutely astronomical, and it's costing me a fortune every time I went up and down to the boat. So that was really the main reason for moving. The second reason was I wanted to explore a different area. I think I'd done an awful lot of the Ashby Canal and the surrounding area, so I felt if I brought it back to this region, then we can take the swamp duck and do a little bit more of the Trent. We want to go up to Chesterfield, Sheffield area and the Lincoln area, and then we can go south on the River Soar and we can go to the middle levels. So there's plenty of places to go at. So that's why I've added some extra features to the swamp duck, because if we go up to the Trent, then we do need to go on to tidal waters. So I've put on a new navigation light, the anchor chain which is required, and the next job is to put in a VHF radio and to do the course which you have to do in order to gain the VHF license. So that's something I'm going to be working on in the next few weeks. And just in time to finish this vlog, we have a visitor who's come to say goodbye.